the folks who came out, share a little time with us. This is one series of meetings that we've been trying to have on this and other subjects to try to get more information out to the public, learn how we can do things a little bit better. I'm Carter Terenzini, the town administrator.
I'm
Derek
Derek Hall, I'm the moderator.
Carol Harris, town clerk.
Lee Guthrie, on the advisory committee.
Gail Noel, citizen.
Tony DeJoy, also on the advisory committee.
Julie Richards, selectman.
Thanks. And let me just say that for those who didn't feel comfortable coming out tonight, road a little greasy or something, if they can just send me an email, cterenzini@templetonma.gov, or Julie, or we'll make sure that the emails get out and get circulated to all the right folks. So the next town meeting is on Wednesday, May 15th. This year will be the first time that it happens before the annual town election. The election will be on May 20th, and you may remember that that was a change made, I think, at the annual meeting a year ago. Basically, so that if there were gonna be ballot questions, there would be an opportunity at the town meeting to debate what those ballot questions were and get the information out. So we'll be making sure that if there is a ballot question, it'll be very early on in the warrant, so in case the meeting has to be recessed and continued, that part of the meetings got through.
Just a quick question, have you ever, or has anyone ever done an analysis of having a town meeting, not a special town meeting, but the annual town meeting on a Saturday versus a weekday night, and to see would either one, because I know attendance can be spotty unless there's a real hot button issue.
Right, so, I know at one time you tried some Saturday meetings,
Yes.
and we discussed that with Carol before switching back, and initially, the attendance did go up a little bit, but then after the first 2 years or so, it just started going back down.
Okay.
It does seem to be more attendance or issue-driven. So one of the things the select board has tasked me with, and we wanted to talk with folks about, is what they think we can do to improve the participation in and the debate at the town meetings. At the last town meeting, there were a couple of very lengthy articles, 3+ pages. So we tried, if people had them in hand, so we tried waiving the reading. Just, spoiler alert, the codification alone is 300+ pages. So.
I won't be reading that, just so you all
I'll
know.
say that nobody will be reading 300+ pages. That's official.
We've been trying to get out more information. We've had one public hearing on the codification. We'll have another, at least one more. We've been trying to get more documents out on the web. I've been doing the talk of the town for a little over a year now. And before we have the town meeting, I've been going through every article as to what it is. We've been trying to get the voter guide out a little bit earlier with, a little more, a little better look, some more information in it. And so what we really wanna do is to try to figure out if there are things we can do to improve attendance, improve the efficiency of the meeting, while maintaining people's and respecting people's right to debate. That's a challenge this fella here gets to do.
That's a good job.
Is it starting the meeting a little bit earlier? Is it trying to make sure that every meeting has childcare people available? Is it, we do have the elder bus, the MART bus, do a collection, pool rides, but I'm not sure everybody knows that's available. So I guess that's really the question that the three of us kind of kicked around. And we're hoping for some suggestions, whatever we get, we'll put on this, make up some meeting notes.
I think you pretty much already started, breaking the ice. If you'd like, time of the meeting, let's just start with that. You know, we've had many discussions back and forth. Too early, people are working. Too late, people gotta go to bed. Okay? Now, like I said in one of our meetings, I happen to work 3 PM to 11 PM on some occasions during the week. We'll have the meeting until midnight, I don't care, I'm up anyway. However, again, with respect to the people that are attending the meetings, that kind of stuff, so the meeting traditionally, now that we're going back from Saturdays to a weeknight, is at 7 PM.
Correct, yeah.
1,900 hours, 7 PM. We were making a suggestion, how about a half hour earlier, starting at 6:30?
You have my vote.
I actually think
Yes.
6 would be okay.
Oh, okay, 6.
And I actually am
No?
comfortable with 6, but again, with the new people that are moving into town, I don't know how far or how much they travel to get home and family and
But-
supper.
But for a onesie,
So-
twosie type thing, or a one meeting, you know, most people can adjust their schedule a little
Yeah.
bit to say, okay,
So maybe
you know, it's
start at
important for
6.
me to be at the town meeting. I'm gonna leave work an extra half hour to make sure I'm there.
So I guess we can put out there 6:30, kind of like with a question mark, maybe as a suggestion, we'll start it a little bit earlier, okay? Ending the meeting always is a challenge as well, especially if we're not gonna get it all done in one day, like we were going to do on a Saturday. Okay, so if it's gonna be during the weeknight, again, how late will we go? Certainly, we're not going to stop in the middle of an article, or we're not gonna stop in the middle of a debate. Hey, wait a second, it's 10 o'clock, or, okay, we're gonna make an appropriate time, and then, you know, I'm sure I'll have some input, but I'll basically make a decision, and it won't be, it'll just be a recess, I think is the actual,
Yeah, recess,
Yeah.
because if you adjourn or dissolve the meeting,
you can't.
you have to repost it with a new warrant and
Yeah.
do everything else.
So I think as long, like you were mentioning posting, I think as long as we're posting it the appropriate way
Correct.
to get it started, and then kinda how it falls after that is kinda just playing it by ear.
And your intent would be the meeting picks up the next day?
Usually, yes.
Traditionally, that's what it's been.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. I would like to just basically get it done, bing, bing, bing. I mean, ultimately, it'd be nice in one night. I don't really see that happening. We don't have a total amount of articles that are on there yet, do we? Yeah. So-
It's hard for me to
Correct.
say, because with the codification, there's going to be 8 plus or
I think
minus.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say at least plan on, 2 meetings as kinda like a,
Max.
comfortable guesstimate. If we go to 3, if we ended at 1, I mean, we'll go back and forth, but of course, the only problem is attendance, which we're gonna get to the second, thing. But in end time, I don't really wanna put one down yet. Let's just kinda see what the audience does, how well we're doing on the articles. And it might not even be an official vote. Hey, guys, we got 2 more articles left. We're gonna stay. We wanna get out of here. You know what I mean? Kinda get, yeah, we'll stay, or no, you know what, we got 10 left, we'll come back tomorrow.
Make an assessment at the time.
Yeah, okay. And TBD, that night as well as the next night or whatever, just kinda play the end by ear, cause we just, how many questions do we have, how many, whatever, you know?
I think Julie wanted to wait.
Did you have another one?
No, that's great. That
Okay.
sounds great.
The second thing, as you had mentioned, I would say attendance, okay? First of all, appreciate everybody being here tonight, but, we have close to 8,500, 8,000, what's our population?
A population, yeah.
Yeah, roughly, okay, without,
Yeah.
I know they're all coming in, the census are coming in,
Exactly.
but, that's always an issue. We have a few people making these votes and deciding on things for the town, okay? And we appreciate everybody attending, okay? But we need more attendance. We need, even for tonight, we're gonna hear your thoughts. I'm gonna have, and some people, like you said, can't make it. That's why we have it on TV. But the problem being is we just need, attendance. We need input. And if we don't have it, decisions are made. And now you can't come back and say, well, geez, this one decided on that, and this one, you can't, because, voting's there for a reason.
Does it have to be a physical attendance?
So, we've talked about this, right now, yes, it does, okay? In the future, who knows where it's going, okay? We have technology, And, right, I get it, but, we're nowhere near that yet. However, as of right now, yes. And even with being physically present, sometimes it gets a little confusing because you have, out-of-town people that are there, okay? They can have some input if it's approved or whatever, but they're not allowed to vote. So we have to kind of keep an eye on them that when we say yay or nay,
They don't vote.
exactly, okay? We have people coming in and out of the meeting. You have to use the restroom, you showed up late. We have, your employees, you know, your work is there. You know, they come in if you're gonna get registered and all that, so they come in and out. So it's difficult as it is, and I don't have an answer how to make it easier, but I can see maybe something changes, especially with technology in the future.
Well, I
But-
was just thinking of early voting, you know,
Yeah, that would be
things
nice.
like that.
Yeah.
Sure, yep. So with regards to that, I would say attendance. Go ahead, yeah,
I have an idea.
yep.
Just because my background, in my employment, I do some of this stuff. But I thought instead of do we provide childcare, which is normally a movie, right?
Yeah.
Popcorn, movie, I kinda,
Auditorium,
yeah. So my thought was to do like a mini outdoor carnival and then have seniors at the high school that need to either do community time or whatever they need to do for credits at school, maybe just watch the kids and maybe put a bouncy and maybe do, you know, a fried dough booth and small things like that, and then seek out donations for this evening so that it brings out the younger families that are buying in the town. And then it also like just brings the community together a little bit more. I don't know, it's just a thought, and I would be more than willing to volunteer my time and help set that up. I have a lot of connections through the state, through the town, whatever, to put small events like this together. And I think if you're looking at where the town meeting is, we have the space, we have the parking, we have all the other things that some other spots in town may not have. So it's just a thought. I'd be more than willing to volunteer my time to work with people and do that, and hope that that brings out the young parent that has the 7, 8-year-old or the 12, 13-year-old that says, oh, you guys will have so much fun. And then the students at the school are getting credit. And then I can go listen to what these warrants are and actually get involved in the town I just purchased a home in. Because we are selling like a lot of homes right now, or building. So that was just a thought I had.
Well, I'm sure, I speak for these two, you have a vote, you're in, okay, if you wanna set it up, go right ahead.
I would love to,
No.
like, work, I would love to work on it, I really would, this, I miss
so,
it.
I
We
appreciate
don't
it.
do it at state level anymore. You know, we used to have the huge Fernal Fair, it's been long gone for a while now, and I was a huge part of that committee. And I would love to get this just kicking off, to see if, again, the younger families that are moving in might take time out to say, here's an event to keep my kid occupied while I go see what's going on in my new hometown. Cause you buy a house, it's for 30, it's for 20, you know what I mean? You're looking at a lifetime thing. Get involved, and maybe this could do it. I mean, any 5-year-old's gonna go, hey, there's cotton candy, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, it's worth a shot to
You-
maybe build up your attendance. Maybe.
I like the idea. The only two things we need to think about is one, liability waiver, and
We
two.
could get that.
Outdoor carnival in May, need to plan in case, you know.
Indoor, we just
Yeah,
throw
so-
them in the gym.
But no,
Yeah,
in
okay.
general,
We gotta cover.
something to attract the younger crowd, absolutely.
Yeah, just
no,
kinda attract that younger
Yeah.
family
Totally agree.
stuff.
So, Julie, why don't we say this, and we appreciate it, okay? How about this? Do a little research between now and we'll set it some kind of a date. Report back to us and just let us know how it's going. Logistically, I think it's a little bit of a nightmare for you to do, which is excellent if you wanna, we appreciate it, but we know, there's another thing we just thought of, liability, okay? How are we gonna pay for it? we have to get permission from the school to do this kind of stuff. Even, we were mentioning childcare, which is a great idea, technically that's what this is, but was the school willing to let us do childcare in their school? You know what I mean? There's
Let me just say.
a million things like that, that's all.
If we can put these notes together, if you like, if this is agreeable, I can send those notes along to the selectmen who have a workshop next Wednesday. Julie could present if you can attend, terrific. If Carol can attend, terrific. And then the select board could at least be informed, and we're meeting with the school committee on February 11th. And perhaps whatever the selectmen think makes some sense to try to push along, then we could bring that up at the school district that night, because we are coming upon town meeting fairly closely. But if that's agreeable with you, I could move the paper along in that fashion.
Going to mention the superintendent, I'm hoping he'd be on board with some of this or aware of some of this
Well,
stuff that's,
my
you know,
thought
school
was,
committee as well,
maybe this
obviously.
coming Monday, I can make a call to the superintendent of schools. I can sit down, I can give him the idea I just gave you,
Mhm.
and kind of get his feel for it, see what he's thinking about all this. I can talk to Cutter, of course, about liability,
So,
and then we'll still have,
adding this to the
I'll have more
agenda-
information on Wednesday of next week to
Okay.
present to my board, and then,
So
you know,
I'll go ahead.
obviously contact you guys and say, okay, superintendent's on board, liability's covered, select board's gonna support it, and then we just go from there.
So I'll
So-
add this to the agenda then, that's okay?
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
that's fine.
Excellent.
Well, what if we have, like a school bus in each district, like one in Baldwinville, one in the center, one in Otter River, whatever.
For
you know,
transportation?
For transportation,
Mhm.
you know, and that way,
Well, my only thought on that was that we already supply, correct me?
I'm told we.
Transportation if
I'm
people
told
need
we
a ride
did,
to the
particularly
voting.
for the elders.
right, but,
I'm not sure, but this would be more people.
right.
Oh,
than we could
okay.
handle with the small
Right,
shuttle bus.
and you get more diverse audience too.
So, that, again, that's a good idea. Where would you park all of the cars if, say we're gonna meet in East Templeton? Everybody meet in East Templeton at 6 o'clock to get on the bus.
Mhm. Good
Scout
question.
Hall and the church is up for
Churches,
sale, and
yeah.
Scout Hall, well, we're not open yet.
That's true,
So,
a church.
you
Just
know,
park
we
there.
could do that, or we could, is there a cost to that? Is that something, you know what I mean, for the bus company, or is that something that,
Or the
and
school.
again,
Oh,
we're
yeah,
not saying no, but is there a cost? Do we need to hire a bus driver?
Yeah.
You know,
that's true.
so, and that's, is it 2 buses or is it 4 buses? You know, can you do Templeton, East Templeton in 1 bus?
Yeah.
In my
Right,
opinion,
probably,
it's,
but-
in my opinion, it's a cost.
Ultimately, to get anybody to any meeting, you gotta give away something for free, okay? Preferably have some food there as well, and you will attract.
Cotton candy.
Right,
Anybody.
okay.
If I don't,
Right, let's face it, so, we're not giving anything away for free at the town meeting. And we're certainly not serving any food,
Mhm.
so that, those are the reasons why we're not,
I do have a feeling that if this group was to report to the select board, and you were to come into the select board, and Carol was to come in and say, listen, with Julie's support, you know, we've got these ideas we wanna try, and we need $2,000, $2,500, or some
Mhm.
low four-figure number. I do think the select board would work very hard to make it a priority to get it into the budget, because improving the attendance and improving the debate in town is something that they seem to be very serious about.
okay?
I agree with Tyler on that. It's frustrating to go to a town meeting, spend, you know, this is my second term, my first term, the first couple of town meetings, you know, spending 8 or 9 hours, no lunch break, no whatever break, and having 20 or 30 people, unless it's a really hot topic, no one's coming out.
Or they
So
leave
unfortunately,
right after.
I would leave there and be discouraged by it. So my thought on the attendance piece was putting together something small for the kids to be involved in, that the parents might go early and grab a burger and then go to the town meeting while the kids are playing on a jumpy, whatever. Because if you don't have a hot topic, they're not coming out. I've seen it on more than one occasion. And as a select person that doesn't get a stipend, which we're trying to throw out there, it's frustrating to go to a town meeting and have 40 people. I mean, let's get real, come on. So with the younger families coming in, if we just kind of put everything together, I agree with Carter that the Board of Selectmen, we would find the funds if we needed to do buses in each precinct to get people there, anything like that. I'm sure that everybody is like open-minded to it, because we all sit there. It's not just me, it's not just another one. It's all of us. We're sitting there with 40 people in an audience for 8 or 9 hours, and it's, let's bring out the community. Even if we don't have a crisis, we have money in the bank right now. Let's just put more money in the bank and just move on, but try to bring in all these younger families that are purchasing.
So I think we've hammered away pretty good at, when we're gonna get started, how we can try to attract people.
Yep.
Let's talk about the meeting itself. What I'd like to start by saying is, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but a lot of the times, especially from the moderator standpoint, people don't understand how and why the meeting runs like it runs, okay? And, not that I'm gonna go into every single detail, but you need to understand that, and this is for the people at home as well, that a lot of the times I'm consulting with Carol. A lot of the times I'm consulting with town council. The reason for that, obviously, is some legal things in there, okay? We have to obey by our town bylaws. We have to obey by our town meeting time. We have to obey by these certain things. And as weird as it sounds, Carol will yell at me if I don't have the time written down on it. So there's a lot of times where, okay, I'm addressing the town, okay, we had a vote, blah, 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 whatever, and it has to be in writing, right? So I take this, I have it in writing, I give it to Carol, I'm having a conversation with her, this is what happened, there's a change, no change, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, you need a time, okay, I gotta put the time on it. All the people in the audience are saying, let's go to the next article already. But they don't understand some of those things, why they take time, okay? And that's just one example, okay? That's just one quick little thing that we do that nobody sees. Hey, this is 9/10 of a vote. This is 2/3. This is passed, and again, I write down how it was passed, and it's what we're supposed to do, I get it. But just people like, why is it taking so long? Some of these things are important, especially for documenting it, 20 years from now, when we go back on these notes and say, hey, this vote happened, was it legal? Did we have this? Did we, check off all these boxes? Because it goes from us to the Attorney General's office.
The bylaws, yeah.
Right, depending upon, so, just so people understand, that's the reason why sometimes these things take a little bit of time.
Maybe when you open the town meeting, you just say, this is how it's run. You kind of give a little quick, after an article's voted on, there's some clerical stuff that needs to take place, please bear with us or something.
Yeah,
And
what
I-
you just said in 2 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, just tell them that.
Right,
And
and
I thought you summed that up nicely.
I have done some, what are we calling them, the moderators,
Rules.
Rules, okay. I have done that with some of this, okay, this is what's gonna happen, how it happens. I try to make it the best I can, but maybe I could add that to it, that sometimes you don't understand the reasons why.
Absolutely.
The next thing in it, and I'll tell you, from the moderator, maybe it's personal, whatever, I like to be fair to everybody, okay? So my thing has always been that, if they think that, somebody should get off the microphone, he's had enough time, he's just, okay, I'll determine that, and I have, okay? Where if the person's saying the same thing over and over and over again, I want something new. I wanna move on, I get it. However, you have the microphone and you're not gonna be interrupted, because I'm here to make sure that you're heard, okay? some of the procedures, some of the rules that we go by. For example, I'll put one out there. Sometimes people get up and they don't say exactly what they mean, which gets a little confusing to me, but let's just say we want to move the question, okay? So somebody's been up there, the discussion, okay, we've had enough discussion, let's move the question, okay? What people don't necessarily understand is we have to have somebody for the question, we have to have some discussion against the question, okay? So if we've only had for the question, and just about everybody in the room's for it, we can't move it until we have somebody against it. Those are some of the things that people don't understand. Why aren't we getting this one off the microphone and move the question, let's hear it, okay?
Yeah,
But
that's
I don't-
another. In order to move, you need to hear both sides.
How about,
Right. And it's, again, just one example.
I don't know if you did this last year, or maybe I just read it somewhere, is just a little thing that maybe goes with the warrant, or it's a side thing that says, to move a question means this, but we need X, Y, and Z. To pass over means this. Just something that, all the different procedural things that can happen to a question.
Well,
Or
I
the
certainly
common
can,
ones.
but the problem being is, that list is this long.
I know.
Okay.
So,
I actually
can I
have a book on it.
So can I suggest that go out prior to town meeting? Like, even prior to a selectman meeting, I can get frustrated. We get our packets on Thursday. We have a meeting on the following Wednesday. I come in front, do you wanna pass these meeting minutes from last month? Well, here's my vote, yes. But I got 3, sometimes 2, gotta read them. Why? You didn't do your homework? You had 5 days. So it's kind of the same thing for town meeting. If you wanted to put all these specifics into place, get them out on the website that we just started upgrading and making look fantastic. And that's the choice of the voter. If they show up at the town meeting and have not even read a warrant yet, that's not your mess to
Correct.
give them, let me be fair to you. Oh, please don't.
So we
And-
have in
You
the
know, like,
voters,
But there's still,
There's so much time that people can look things over.
while I agree with that, there's nothing saying they have to. And unfortunately, people can show up at the meeting and start talking about something, and.
Yeah,
And you're right, those are the people that you get frustrated with them,
right.
because if you'd read the article, maybe you'd understand it better, but it's their right.
but if, we have the voters' information guide, we have the
Mhm.
moderator's rules. If I have those a little bit earlier, and if the moderator could, highlight the major,
Points.
moving the question, passing over, how to make amendments. If we could perhaps look at some of the major ones, we might be able to work together to keep it down to one, and then I could get those out earlier, and when we do the pre-town meeting talk of the town, I'd have those in hand to spend a little bit of time
That's a
on.
great idea.
I'm not against it. I think no matter what you do, some people will read them, and then some people won't read them. I don't care, that's the same thing with attendance. We could give out $1 million, and some people wouldn't show up unless it's $2 million, okay? So I'm not against it, sure we can. Tony, what you brought up a great point, which was something I've discussed on many occasions. Hopefully, the people that have interest in some of these articles, in some of these whatever, go to committee meetings, okay? They ask questions, they get some of this stuff done prior to getting to the town meeting. Now, what I will say is, at the town meeting, not everything's perfect.
No.
We can have a typo, we can have something that's changed, we can have whatever, and I get that part, okay? But, don't get up there and use the microphone if it's something that we've already asked, okay, and answered. Or, you had the opportunity to maybe go to another open meeting, to ask you, use that microphone appropriately. You're gonna have a chance to get on the microphone, sure, but don't waste your time asking something that the whole crowd already knows, And I know that's difficult too, because again, some people attend a meeting, some people won't, whatever. But if at all possible, use that microphone time efficiently. okay?
I do think in years past, you've done a really good job explaining. We're just voting to move the question, we're not actually voting on the question itself right now.
Mhm.
And I think you've done a really good job
Thank
of
you.
explaining
Yes.
that.
And that's what I try to do, as we said, explanation by the town moderator. I see it as a conflict, a little bit, for me to be trying to explain something to you, okay? I am not there for or against it,
Right.
okay? And that's what everybody has to understand, okay? If an article is presented by the town, or if an article is presented by a citizen's petition,
Yep.
okay? What everybody has to understand is, I don't wanna have an opinion on that, okay?
Right.
That's not my job. So if I say to you, and of course I'm calling you Tony,
Yeah.
hey, Tony, this is the way it is, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
everybody's kinda thinking that I'm leaning towards that article,
Right.
okay? And that's what I do at the town meeting, most of the people I know, so I call everybody by first name, whatever, okay? But what I need them to understand is, I'm not in favor for that article, and I'm not against that article. When a town votes,
Yeah.
I'm here to make sure it's done right, make sure it's appropriate, all that. However, when I say that is, it's tough for me to explain some of the ways that it's done, because it makes me look like I'm for it. I'll give you a perfect example. It happened to be the school. It was a few years back. It was the superintendent at the time, Dr. Henman, was like acting or whatever. We had a major vote on the school. The school had passed, okay? And basically, you want to reconsider that question, okay? But it wasn't my job to say, hey, you want to reconsider that question, right?
Yeah,
No.
no.
But Dr. Hammond wasn't from town,
Right.
so he couldn't, and again, now it looks like I'm voting for the school.
Right.
Whether I'm voting for the school or not isn't, and so that's why I need to explain, sometimes it's tough for me to do that, just because of the fact that I don't want you to think I'm for or against that article.
That's always it's a tough thing, I think, for a moderator to, not to be impartial, but to appear impartial. Because I think that, for the most part, the moderators I've seen are impartial. You may have your own opinion on there, but as the moderator, your opinion doesn't count in that role. I mean, when it comes time to vote, I do believe you can vote, but,
Right, there's things
As
in
a
there about
citizen.
tiebreakers and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, sure, but I would rather the town vote, and,
I mean, it really, to me, is up to whoever brought the petition forward to speak, or the warrant article, to really speak on that.
correct.
Unless, and then the case with advisory, if we have a different opinion or whatever, to say, okay, this is how we see it. Looking at it from a citizen's, I think that the select board looks at things from a little different perspective.
I don't know, I look as citizen.
No, but I mean, well, I think you do, but sometimes you know more in depth or whatever, so,
Well, and that's why sometimes too, I will ask, how are you speaking? Are you from the advisory committee? Are you from the board of selectmen?
And if you are,
Or
go
I do
down
do-
and go
right,
on the
So that's
stage,
one of
yeah.
the big things
Yep.
I was gonna say, is
Sure.
I think that if it's a member of anybody that's sitting on the stage or advisory, if you're speaking for that, well, to me, if advisory's given a chance to speak, once that part's done, okay, advisory's spoken, now any more conversation you do should have to do it as a citizen, and therefore you should get up from your seat and go to the microphone.
So you would agree that, you have a chairman,
Yep.
okay, similar to the board of selectmen. So if the official, statement
Yep.
from your president, your chairman, or whatever,
Or some member of the board,
Yeah,
because
whoever it is,
like I
that's-
may have researched something or
Yep,
whatever
so
we may have.
after that, now you have to get up and you can say, my name is Tony,
Yes,
I live at such and such address, and I'm also a member of the board. But basically, you're speaking as,
a citizen.
okay, because otherwise, the chairman would be, or,
See, I think there's some confusion is, and I, through, years of going to town meeting, would see advisory board meeting members, but there would be a different opinion in what they read, so, okay, maybe they were against it. Now, if there is two different really solid opinions and we vote to get it out, okay, great, but if they see them sitting at that chair or at that table as advisory, I think some people think everybody feels that way, and that's not always the case.
So you're saying to distinguish which ones feel for it and which ones may be against it. And whatever it may be, the other person should get up at the microphone.
Right, so I
And speak
think,
as a
so I
citizen.
think
Okay.
that after the warrant's read, then advisory gives their little spiel of, you know, the advisory committee is for this article, blah, 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 or against it. Or if it was a close vote, we say, oh, we have this vote for, this is why, and then maybe there's a dissenting, we wanna get that opinion, that's why, so people could think about the things we thought about. But once that part's done, then no more, this is from the advisory committee, this is now a citizen that happens to be on the advisory committee. And I always found that confusing, because they would sit there and, you know, people would talk about and say, so-and-so advisory committee, well, are you speaking for the committee? Because to me, the committee is a body that is,
Has one opinion.
well, not necessarily one, but
One
one
official.
or two,
One
one
official.
official opinion, yeah.
John, welcome.
Thank you. I can't stay long. I have a
And
one-year-old at home that 13-year-old's watching right now, so I don't want to bounce him around.
Appreciate you being here.
Yes, I'm
and
sorry I'm late.
We just, filling you in, we are being recorded, just so you know. It is a very informal meeting. However, it is gonna be going out to other people in TV land or wherever else they may
Fantastic.
view it. So, we'll try to keep any inappropriate language. We've been having a tough time with it tonight, but we'll do okay with it.
Well, I'm glad you'd mentioned that
No,
tonight.
right, so.
And I'm so glad you're wearing a sweatshirt, because you're just
So-
going with the mood.
I am.
Just breaking ice, that's all it is.
Understood.
Can I try to understand what
Absolutely.
Tony was saying?
Yeah, I'm confused
So-
on that.
If the advisory, excuse me, the advisory committee recommends for this article,
Right.
whatever the vote is, 5-2, they could even state because, and then if there's a dissenting opinion, the dissenting opinion was, whatever that is.
Yes.
Short, sweet.
Yep.
Then when someone in the audience has a question of the advisory committee, that would be answered, let's say by the chairman or by the person representing the advisory committee.
Yes.
But if the dissenting person wanted to debate their point of view further, having not convinced the advisory committee, at that point, there would be an expectation that they would go into the well.
Right.
So same thing on the select board. If there was a question being asked, they would answer, but if there was a dissenting member of the select board that wanted to debate the position of the board, they too would go to the well.
Right. Because you really go in there as a citizen now, because both boards, both the select board and advisory, have their quote-unquote official positions. It's listed in the voter's guide, you know, select board voted, you know, 4-1, advisory 5-2, or whatever the case may be. Now, if you want to continue the further debate, like, if I said, you know, look, I was against that, and as a citizen, this is why I'm against it. And, you know, I will stand by an advisory vote if, even if I'm on a dissenting side. Well, that's why we have 7 of us, okay? Not, you don't, I mean, it's great when everybody's all in harmony and it's great, but it's good to have dissenting opinions, because people look at it from a different perspective.
So does that capture it, trying to sort out how to make the clarity of the role on the advisory committee?
Yeah,
And the board of selectmen, sort of that dissenting point of view versus the official
Mhm.
point of
like I
view?
said, once, and maybe it's the time, because it's usually, you know, the select board will say something, the advisory will say something, and then maybe a citizen will get up and say something. Once that happens, then, to me, the select, unless a question's being directed absolutely at that board, you know, someone could say, I'd like for the advisory board to answer this, then anybody on those boards is really acting as a citizen now, and not as a member of the board. Because if you are, then you're saying, oh, well, the board can't change their vote.
So I think that's a great point, and it's been brought up in the past. Your vote is 5-2. So for somebody to come up and ask, which each and every vote, how you voted, why you voted, blah, blah, that is not gonna happen at the
No.
town meeting.
No.
I think it's appropriate at your advisory committee meeting.
Yep.
Sure.
Mhm.
Why'd you vote that way? What about this?
We have a town, pre-town meeting
Mhm.
to go over every single article, and people are welcome to come.
So I think that was a misconception, is to we're gonna go through the votes and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, no.
That is not done or took place at that time.
No, if you wanna know how we voted, come to our meeting.
Correct, correct. Along with that, I think that the far spectrums from the committees, Board of Selectmen, everybody, it seems like the committees are working a lot better, okay? It seems like the relationship between committees and the town are better. And I encourage that,
Mhm.
okay? I think there's a lot of discussion that doesn't have to happen at the town meeting, okay? One of the things that Carter has done, and I do support it, not because it's Carter, but there's two opinions in there, okay? Here's what the article is. Here's what the selectmen have said. Here's what the advisory committee has said. I like that.
Yeah.
This is a fact,
Yep.
okay? This is the fact. And I like, it's kind of like any other voting, where if
Right.
you vote this way, this is what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
And if you vote that way, this is what's gonna happen.
Right.
It's not really taking an opinion or a side. It's
The
telling
facts.
you what and how if you vote this way. I like that. And I think that has happened because of discussion, because of meetings, because of things within the town. Different committees, personnel, whatever it may be, relationships are better. And I like that because that makes the meetings go a lot smoother. And there's nothing more embarrassing than getting to a town meeting and seeing argumenting or fighting, whatever, within a committee
Mm,
or from two different committees,
right.
okay? We can argue all day long, I don't care about that, but not there,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Hopefully, we should have some type of understanding, and I'm not saying you have to be for it, okay? You can be against things, I get that, whatever, but I think sometimes it's embarrassing the level that we go where you guys haven't talked at all about this, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I would like to see some kind of, and it's gotten better, that's, the bottom line is it's gotten better.
And I think the
Definitely.
flow of information's gotten better, and that's a key. For advisory to give a really good opinion, we have to understand what the administration is trying to do fully, and say, okay, we're thinking of this because this is the reason why. And I think in years past, it's been communicated why, and it just went past people, they just didn't care. Or it wasn't, there's probably times it wasn't communicated, and I think that in the time I've been on the board, we really haven't lacked information, or we've asked for information, we've gotten it. We haven't asked for a ton, but with budget season coming up, the more time we have to get eyes on things, the better.
And I think that's, the past is the past,
Yep.
okay?
Yep.
I hate to go backwards, I only wanna go forward.
No, we're
Wanna
going
make
forward.
more things
Thank
positive.
you. You have my
And,
vote on that.
Make things positive, make things better.
5 years of,
I get it. Some
you
of-
have
some
my
of the
vote on that comment.
Personnel, I'm not here,
Yep.
whatever it may be, it doesn't really matter. Let's make this meeting better than the last meeting we had.
Yep, I
So
know.
we have the code red. One of the things that we've done, just backing up, is on the My Town Government, instead of having, let's say that the Development Services Office was gonna have a hearing on something, like when we did the meals tax.
Mhm.
Carol's changed that so that instead of having Development Services having a meeting, and then they had their agenda, she can create a meals tax hearing, or, that's actually becomes a department, so that when people see it on the web, on the calendar, to the extent they look there, it says meals tax public hearing. It makes it more apparent what the thing's about. We have the red banner, I think, Carol, we could probably use a little bit more, so that when the, advisory committee's gonna have their pre-town meeting,
Yeah.
if we know about it, more than a newspaper ad, even more than getting it on the web under that heading, if we know when that's gonna happen, we can put that on the red banner, and that has an email blaster connected to it, and we need to make sure it goes on Facebook as well. We got the code red, but there's always a balance between using that to get information out, and I think, did we do the town meeting or the election last year using?
We did.
We got some positive.
Mhm.
So there's always a balance between using that to get information out and people who feel like we're bothering them. I mean, do you have any sense of where that balance is, so that we make the best use of the system without tipping over the balance?
So I just had a thought on pre-town meeting. To me, pre-town meeting, which I don't always go to because I'm so involved in it anyway. But like, just a mailing, could we consider a mailing to everyone, all the voters?
We had discussed
Here's
that
what's
too,
going
yeah,
on.
postcard.
Here's your pre-town meeting, a postcard, a mailing with just the information, this is when they're meeting, they're going over every single warrant. If you wanna do your homework, this is the meeting to go to,
Or this is the website.
and this is the website to go to. But to do an actual mailing, so people go to their mailbox and go, oh, wow, pre-town meeting's next Tuesday, or whatever. I think that that might help with all the diverse, you have senior citizens and, I don't have a computer, I don't have this, I don't have that. And then you have the new people coming into town that don't know what's going on. They don't even know where town hall is till they have to pay a bill. So can we just do a mailing, or can we afford a
You
mailing?
get a cost estimate?
For pre-town, not town, just pre-town. And then those people get the pre-town information,
With
and
all-
if they,
Several days.
All the dates.
Yeah.
yeah, all the
Have the town
dates
meeting
on the
on
bottom or something, but like pre-town should be their main, this is pre-town meeting, this is when it is, where it is, what time it is. Come look at all the warrants, if you choose to go to town meeting, that would be fantastic. Oh, and by the way, we're having a mini carnival.
I think
'cause
that's, I think
the
that's a great
superintendent,
idea.
superintendent said it's okay, but like, put as much as we can into this little pamphlet.
Well, I think
I'll-
maybe,
you know?
you do, like, we have schedules events leading up to town meeting that
A lot of
are really
events,
are
a lot of
important,
meetings,
and have it covered there, like pre-town meeting, or, a couple of,
select board meetings.
select board meetings, advisory committee meetings,
There's
as
some
we
nights
lead
we
up
have
into
two
the budget
people.
season.
We have two people in our audience. They're big issues that we have to vote
You
on.
have two issues, well, you have two people, that's two more than we get.
You know what I mean? So like, just try to bring
Well,
them all
and I
up.
think, if we could ever, I like the idea of a mailing, and I know some people don't have email, and maybe as the new website comes on, there's maybe it's Carter's,
Or
weekly report or something
Yeah,
that
they
gets
have
blasted
TV.
out as an email.
Yeah,
But,
on
you
TV.
say, hey, everybody, we have this email, if you wanna get it, sign up here. So you don't, get people that don't want spammed email, but to get information out, and I think information out as well, it's important to the town, it's the town meeting is really what we're trying to target people at. I mean, when we have emergencies in the town, I think that's important. Hey, we have this big issue that just came up, like the Stone Bridge issue, that,
Mhm.
you can't count for that.
So I think all we can do is try with multimedia, okay?
Yes.
We have, and that goes, obviously, many different directions there. Carter even mentioned our Facebook, blah, blah, whatever. So you have multimedia, you have, snail mail, okay, that we're gonna actually mail something out with. We have, Carter had mentioned Code Red. If we could just go back to that real quick for a second. Inside of Code Red, being in public safety, I fully understand where you're coming from. We kind of, and this is several years back, we kind of bought that program and said, if we have anything, this is why we're gonna use it. And since we've had it, I know it's kind of changed a little bit here and there. One of our first biggest problems was we're gonna get a message every day. We're gonna message every week, whatever, and it's just gonna be a mess. People will never listen to our emergencies. So we've been good, and I mean, the town, now we're using it for more and more, whatever. The town has been good about not abusing it, okay? What I like to see is use it enough so we can still, okay, that's how we can notify people. And you can attach email to it. You can send texts, voicemail.
You can do it by text, you can do it by voicemail.
So I wouldn't see a problem with some of that. The only problem I would see is if we used it too much. Now, I say major on public safety, we said like an emergency, okay? God forbid we have this incident in this part of the town, we need people to come there, or we need people to stay away from there, or whatever it may be. And I don't want every time we get a code red to think it's an emergency. On the other hand, every time we have a code red, I don't want to say, it's about a meeting, like I was expecting an emergency. You know what I mean? So I want to use it and stay familiar with it, but not abuse it.
I will say that in the last community, we used it, I'm gonna tell you, probably 12 to 15 times a year. We used it whenever we had to open up a warming shelter, whenever we had to open up a cooling shelter. We used it, you know, a combo just before the town election and the town meeting. We used it for a number of events. You don't have the weather module here. What would drive people crazy is they would sign up for the weather module, and in my area, we had a lot of thunderstorms, storms, high humidity, which created a lot of thunderstorms. And unfortunately, that goes off any time of day or night. When the weather service in Gray, Maine says, there's an alert, that thing goes out. But I do think we could use it more.
Our biggest thing is we don't have a huge population of homeless people, which is good. But you'll notice in some of the big cities, they open up all these shelters because we've got to protect the homeless, extreme weather conditions, whatever.
But we opened up the shelter because electricity can still be a foreign concept to some parts of the town during many of our weather events.
So can I just put my opinion on the code red? I would prefer, and I understand where both sides are coming from, that town meeting not be on code red. As a citizen, I would think my code red is you have a 2-hour school delay, the roads are gonna get slick overnight, you have a major accident, the police are trying to take care of on Hubbardston Road, so don't go that route between this hour and this hour. Kind of, to me, that's my code red.
More
To
public
get a
safety
code
as
red
opposed to
saying-
community
Yes.
notification.
To get a code red saying, there's a pre-town, there's a town. If this is too small of a community, and again, I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking for myself. I don't want the phone call reminding me there's a town meeting.
Does,
I want the phone call
So-
reminding me public safety is at risk for whatever reason, a fire, a police issue, a school issue.
Do you
There's my
consider,
big stuff. That's the only reason I want a code red
do you
phone call.
consider a 2-hour delay the same emergency as a
Well-
house fire? Well,
No,
that's what you're
the school,
saying.
the school.
but what I'm saying is, I would
school
want
calls.
those kind of notifications. I don't want a notification about any meeting going
To
on.
me, a code red is an emergency.
Yeah,
That
that's,
affects more than just a few people.
Well, I think ideally you'd have a webpage for the town where you could go, there'd be checkboxes for things like emergencies, school closings, weather,
right.
Information.
town meeting, that you could check off. You could enter your phone number if you wanted to get a text, you could enter your email address. And if we decided to do that, and we decided to do a snail mail, that would be the perfect time to advertise that, look, we've got this. And I don't know if that can happen now, because it's not ready yet, but that's something that I think would
So
benefit.
you say
Or
let
to
people
add to the
select the
website
type
and let
of.
them select their own.
See, when I hear the term
places.
code red, I think emergency.
Yep, I agree. Yeah.
So do I.
The school closing, doing a 2-hour delay is not an emergency to me. It's important information to get out. I got the call twice today, so, but I don't think that constitutes an emergency.
Now-
There's a service that's called Connect TY,
Yeah,
Connect to You. It is the reverse 911, the code red,
Mhm.
but their name says something different
yeah.
to the community.
So the other thing is,
I hear what you're
very
saying.
similar to a code red, the school has one that they were using. I don't know if it's still set up, but they had one that they would send out to,
Right, it's just for
the school,
them.
It-
which
it
I would
does.
say is,
Oh, so they already do it?
right,
Yeah,
so,
they do
so,
all that.
yeah,
Okay.
No, I mean,
Well, I just
wasn't
have
kidding.
children
actually already
outside
gotten
of
a
the
call
school
today that
system,
school's
so-
delayed 2 hours tomorrow.
right, that's what I'm saying.
So.
Maybe not
so I
code
can-
red,
I got mine, it was
but let's see if we can jump on Narragansett's.
I'll ask them, I mean, let me just say that the challenge with that, is you need to be careful that if they would blast something out for town meeting, let's say, they should blast it out for all the town meetings. They can't pick and choose. Ooh.
Yeah.
We've got an elementary school we wanna approve, but I think that whatever solutions you come up with need to be
You know,
that's a good
uniform across the board, and that you shouldn't cherry pick a solution based upon you have something you like or you don't like. And I don't mean
So-
you all, but I'm saying the town or the schools, but we can
So-
ask them.
Carter, you brought up a very good point that I'll also add to. When there was a very important vote, we had a whole bunch of kids
Oh, yes.
up on the stage.
Yes.
And it's kind of weird that we haven't had those kids since that vote.
And
Now,
and people-
what I will
You'll
tell
have
you,
them if you put my cotton candy out.
what I will tell you is, yeah, as the moderator,
That was
I support that. I supported every meeting. I was asked if that they could get up there and sing some songs. I don't think that's appropriate at a town meeting. And I said no to them. But if they'd like to join us at the Pledge of Allegiance,
That's fine.
I think that's appropriate.
But you have, if you have the National Merit Honor Scholar lead the Pledge of Allegiance or something, but
Sure.
there's some consistency, so it's
But
the same, it's
You
not
can't have them
cherry.
go give a little concert before town meeting.
So your
And I agree with
consistency with Code Red, with using their, whatever system they have, I would say it's very similar to where are all the kids now doing the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay?
Let's be honest, I wasn't
Well,
frustrated at
and
that.
so, let's get into that next one,
Yeah.
okay? Again, we're talking about the actual meeting itself. Meeting itself, generally people show up for what they have an interest in.
Yes.
And by no means, and I will tell this to anybody, by no means is this bashing the school, okay? We have a very good relationship with the school. I think the school's very good. I think the superintendent, the school committee, everybody, staff, is great. I'm not bashing them. I'm putting the facts out as they are, okay? What I will say is, when you have a question that you have interest in, you stack that meeting. As soon as, and you mentioned it earlier, as soon as that question is over,
Mhm.
everybody's out of there.
Yes.
And I know specifically that I never called for any recess. After, and everybody's getting up and making noise, that meeting's still in session, okay? How do we change that? And I know we've spoken about it. How do we change that? This is another thing that, again, I would like to let everybody know that Carter does a lot of work, and he puts all these articles, here they go, 1 through 300, whatever it is, okay? My opinion is that the articles are the articles, here we go. Somebody is gonna vote to move that article.
Yes.
What I want everybody to understand is, there are a couple of different options, none of which we really like. And this is why we basically continue to do what we do. I put it back onto the town. Does everybody want to vote to move the article? Yes, no, here it is. Okay? Another option that we can do is basically, I always say it the wrong way, but it's pick out of a hat. What was it called?
Bingo wheel
A
is
bingo
what
wheel,
one town
pick out of the
uses.
hat.
Random
So
selection.
you put them all in there, we pick one out, nobody's gonna like that,
Mhm.
okay? So, I mean, those are our options within,
Interesting approach.
Yeah.
right, those are our options within, so that's why when people ask me all the time, they say, well, why'd you let that happen? So first of all, okay,
It's not
I
right.
didn't vote for that to move it. Second of all, I didn't let it happen, the town voted that way.
To-
And
to-
then
You mean to
third-
move an article out of order?
Right, yes, out of order, like the next, I wanna
Yeah.
vote on this one.
The
And
only
then-
trick on the lottery issue that to keep bear in mind is that the moderator needs the flexibility. So for instance, there might be a article to appropriate a sum of money to do something, and then there's the actual motion to authorize the selectmen to go do the eminent domain takings and do those things. So if it's the second article that gets pulled first, there are times when
Right.
there's a preceding or connected article
Mhm.
Right.
that has to be voted on.
Right.
So that's
With
just
no choice.
something to keep,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that's statute.
Yeah, right.
One
You-
can't be
you have no
voted yes
choice on
without the other one
Yeah.
first being voted yes.
And that's why, in my opinion, as the moderator, Article 1 is just as important as Article 30. as the moderator, okay? And I understand probably some are more important than others, but again, trying to be fair for every article, because I feel real confident that it wouldn't be a citizen's petition or an article that Carter has worked on to get it in this order and the languages and all the work that's been done to it. You know, I think that one is as important as 30. I don't feel that moving one around is necessarily fair or whatever. But what I need people to understand is that that's not always really my decision. You know, the town voted to move it. The town voted to do this. I just said, yeah, it was a fair vote, and we moved it.
It's part of the parliamentary procedure of a town meeting.
Absolutely is.
And so you as a moderator just have to uphold the way it runs. You
But
can't say
sometimes
no.
people have asked me that, you know, and then, why do you let them do this? Why do you let them? So I think this is kind of a good meeting to explain some of the things. Not that I have to explain every single thing that we do up there. I mean, you know, it's in the bylaws, it's in the book, it's whatever, you know, and like I said before, if you don't understand it, I don't know that, but these are the reasons why certain things happen, you know.
May I ask a question? Some communities, the first vote is with a show of cards. They actually have a colored card issued, and then the moderator just does a quick count or, you know, makes his judgment call. One of the things that I noticed is that by taking the votes by voice vote, it can be the level of enthusiasm. Then you've got to have your number of people stand up. Then the moderator's got to appoint his counters. And on the several where it's been challenged since I've been here, and I've only, because we're now only having 2 a year, I've only had to attend 5 of them with you. I had the pleasure of attending 5 of them with you. Is that something that would move the meeting along a little bit faster? Is there a reason you do it by voice vote as the first vote?
Well, I don't know how many options we have with that. I'd have to look into it a little bit more. But I know with regards to our bylaws, it says it in there, 7 or more people stand. I also know that it's in there, the town meeting time, that if 7 or more challenge it by standing.
Right.
So generally, that's just kind of how we've gone with
Is
it.
it? Okay.
Now, I don't know if we could change it, and when you're saying a card, was that a specific town bylaw that they passed and said, we can use cards now instead of whatever? I don't know that. That's what I'm saying. I'd have to look into that a little
I'd
bit.
have to go back
Right.
and look, but they had a stack of them. What they actually were back in the day when library books, remember they had the sleeve in the back with the card? They actually had a couple different colors and they used them in rotation. So if you kept your orange card thinking you were gonna get to vote twice at the next meeting, they'd be using gray cards instead.
So I think that's a perfect point for this type of meeting that we're having today. I'm not necessarily opposed or for it. We'd have to look into it a
Well, I
little
just
bit.
didn't know what the
You
local
know, eventually
tradition
you're gonna
was.
be able to vote on your
But
phone.
correct me if I'm wrong, it's
Right.
in both of those.
You could
It's-
also, maybe look into raising your hand instead of the yelling, you know, instead of yes, speaking it, you know, all in favor, raise your hand.
Okay.
And then you might be able to see.
Yeah.
It's just a,
Saves us
something I
money
had
on the
seen.
colored cards.
But
Then again, some of the rights to.
Do we have-
I'm just asking, cause on the several voice votes that I've seen challenged, although it sounded like one side or the other had won, it turned out that when there was an actual vote, it hadn't turned out the same way.
the moderator did a good job, or he didn't do a good job? Which?
The moderator did a good job on both occasions,
Right.
because he heard those
Yeah.
screaming
But they were
loudest
close
Yeah.
calls, and I agree
correctly,
with
and he
that.
counted those raising their hands correctly, so.
And that's, again,
The moderator always does a good job.
thank you. So, yes, sometimes it is difficult to determine that, but what you have to understand is, one person yelling loud
Right.
is not necessarily a whole bunch of people saying the same
And
thing.
you may have some, you know, I don't wanna pick on older people, but older people that just can't yell loud anymore. So, but their vote counts as much as the person yelling
Absolutely.
loud.
Is
Absolutely.
that something you'd like me to add to the list or no?
Oh, a different way to change the
Yeah.
vote? Sure, I'm not opposed to it. I think we have to look into it
Yeah,
a
and you know,
little bit.
consider the
you know.
hand raising, I'm with
I like
Carol
the
on
idea
that.
of the hand raising.
Yeah.
Just hand raise. No verbal, Just hand raise.
Can
Are
you-
you a yes?
Can you as a
Count my
moderator call for an actual count of votes? Or
You know,
does
quieter.
people have to stand up?
Mm.
Oh, no, I
No
can call for
questions
it.
asked
Okay.
at the end
Yeah,
of
so
that
that
vote,
way-
you know?
When it's close, a raising of hands may say, oh, that really wasn't close.
Well, I can do that anytime, even with the voice
Okay.
votes, absolutely, yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
so.
But I would go just hand votes.
Yeah, I think that's
Shut
a good
off your
idea.
crowd.
I
You got the
don't-
woo, 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 and then 3 minutes later, you're counting another woo, 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 and it's the same person voting twice. Cause that's Templeton. Let's go there. I've been to 5,
I'm sure you could do the same thing
You
with
know?
voting with the hands.
but I don't know.
Am I watching
don't
every
know.
single person that votes with their hands?
No, but I would hope
No,
that
but
the
you have people
standing
out
around
there,
would-
yeah,
Okay,
that
so
are,
have
that
them
are
Yeah.
Now what?
honest enough.
Here's the
He
thing
ra-
you do.
She raised her hand twice, now what?
No, you have them raise their right hand so you can check all the thumb positions.
Well, you can, you could do, if you say yes, raise your right hand. Thank you, we did our count.
That's
If
true.
your vote is no, raise your left hand. It's like going back to pre,
You
know
can
what I mean?
always
Like,
caveat, you
come
can
on.
always caveat that if you can't
Yeah.
raise a
You
hand.
could
It-
tweak
I'm
it.
disabled,
If
I
someone
can't raise my
votes-
hand.
Yeah.
If someone votes
You
for
know.
yes and no, effectively they haven't voted. Right,
They've
that's
canceled
complete
themselves
wash.
out.
So it,
They
right, so it
cancel
doesn't matter.
themselves out if you
But I
catch
think
it.
the accuracy of a hand vote versus a verbal is gonna
It's
be
so much better.
higher, absolutely.
It's so
I
much
just
more
didn't know
clear.
if it would save some
No,
time.
I think it's a great idea.
Hand vote.
It could.
Way to go,
And
Carol,
it's-
good
yeah, the-
idea.
The cost versus a card, yeah, just hand vote, sure, sounds great.
Not opposed to it,
Next.
I'm not, for it, I'm not opposed to it, I'm not, that's what the
Okay.
meeting is for. And let's be clear, we have some great ideas, great suggestions, some great whatever.
Yep.
We're gonna give it to different, departments to whatever. Nobody said anything's changing.
No.
And nobody said that we weren't gonna change anything. So, we may go into this next meeting, I'm sure we'll discuss things more or whatever too, and say, this is the way it's gonna be, cause this is the input that we had. This
Right.
is, whatever, so
Right.
I think that's what it's good for,
Yeah, I think.
Yes.
Since we really want, parents of the school children present, what if we, use, like, the school and their, emails or how they notify the parents to, send the pre-town literature
I think
out?
they've done that in the past.
Have we?
Well, they did it when it was time to
School.
vote on the new school.
Right.
But they should
But
do it all the
that's
time.
all the
I
time.
actually agree with you 100% on that, and where I'm going to try to feel out the whole
Mhm.
small carnival thing, when I meet with the superintendent on Monday, I will definitely put that on my list of questions.
I would like to see some more consistency within the school with regards to notification. I
Yeah.
mentioned the kids doing the Pledge of Allegiance
Yes.
with their email system, their phone system, whatever. But that's asking them for something. We can't tell them,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
That would be
They
You
asking.
just have to ask them
I
to
would
play
think
in our
they would wanna
sandbox,
get people out
basically.
voting.
Yeah.
I mean, the school budget
Absolutely.
is voted on
Every year.
every year.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's, not a bad idea, but I think that's more of a conversation, similar to using their building, their facilities.
Mhm.
Right.
We wanna do a carnival, can we use their ball field? You know what I
Right.
mean? That's just asking, like,
Yeah, so what do you think? This is our idea, and we're trying to bring in more voters, and we know you're not on the warrant for a new school this year, it's already almost done, and however, we want you
I probably wouldn't take that.
to help us out.
I'd probably take more of an approach of, you're a vital part of the community and we want you to help us.
Okay,
show
I'll
that
take
we
that
have us.
approach.
well, it doesn't matter, it's a big vote.
It is.
It
It's a
definitely-
huge
The
vote.
people that they're bringing, of course, let's face it, everybody has kids, right? Everybody has whatever. So, another way to make it more efficient or faster, I say faster, but any other suggestions? Voting is obviously one of them. Procedure-wise, we try to explain some of that. Sometimes procedure is procedure, we
Right.
can't change some of
Well,
that.
And sometimes people have their own agenda, they just wanna be heard, and over again, like, and I know you do try very hard to, let them make their point once,
Try.
You do.
If it's been asked and answered,
Mm-hmm.
why are we asking, you're not paying attention in the crowd, or, whatever, I think we're there to get things accomplished,
I think too, with people wanna be heard at town meeting, and I get that.
come to a,
People can be heard
At the
every
pre-town.
2 weeks on a Wednesday evening when
Yes.
we have an open select board
You're
meeting.
right.
that's right.
Those select people, you voted them into those seats. If you have an issue with your road,
Mhm.
with not enough police coverage, with
Yep.
whatever it could be,
Right,
town meeting once a year is not the place to go gripe it.
right.
We're available every 2 weeks.
Easy.
As is, if you don't like the budget,
Right, go see them.
they have a meeting, however often as they do.
Right.
And if you don't like what they're telling you, again, every 2 weeks, be in this room. You're paying for this,
Right.
so come voice your concern.
Mhm.
And then your concern goes on paper, and eventually your concern might be a warrant, who knows?
Right, but if it's not a warrant,
But-
don't bring it up.
Town meeting has always frustrated me where people come out of the woodwork and want to complain at the mic. And I know you're doing a great job. But I think to myself, where were you for the last 12 months? I sat there twice a month and never saw your face in my crowd. If you can't stand your road or you can't stand this, then why haven't we heard from you? Because I don't want to spend 9 hours on a Saturday or a Wednesday night listening to you right now. You already lost my attention span.
While I agree with you 100%,
You know,
it's still their right
please.
to do it.
It is their right.
As-
I'm not
but
saying
as
it's
long
not
as it's
their right.
relevant,
But
as
I
long
think it
as it's
should get out
relevant,
there.
right. But as long as it's relevant to
Relevant
the
to the
article
warrant,
that's there.
the
If it's
article.
not article,
And both of you have
Yeah.
now mentioned it, correct. If it's not an article, we're not gonna discuss it.
And you've done a great
Right,
job with that,
yes.
and
Right.
thank you for that.
Absolutely.
I hear what you're saying, but I think it should have been done prior to, let's make it an article, and let's make it a citizen petition.
Right.
Let's, whatever it may be.
maybe
Then
it's a,
we-
maybe it's a quick thing, you say, thank you very much, that's not part of this article.
Correct.
If you'd like to get it on the next town meeting's article, please check with the, the
Go
town
see your
administration, and they will tell
see
you
your
how you go about doing it.
Now, I'll touch on that, cause that's where we're at. Again, understand that as the moderator, I may be able to say to you, it's not appropriate, it's not right now, okay? On the flip side of that, if there is something that we have an article or needs to be changed or whatever, I can't tell you that to make it the right way,
Mhm.
Right.
okay? What everybody has to understand is, we hire town council for the greater interest of the town.
Mhm.
Our articles and our council is for the town. Now,
As an organization,
but
the corporation is not
Correct.
town, right.
But the town council doesn't necessarily have to give professional advice either to make your article the right way, written the right way. For the town, yes, that's why we hire him. It's always been a him, but I mean,
Yeah.
if it was a
Yeah,
her,
right.
them, okay? Understand that if you're making a change, suggestion, whatever it may be, that I'm not necessarily gonna tell you what's right or
I
what's
don't
wrong.
think that's your responsibility.
Correct, okay,
Yeah.
absolutely correct. And that's, I just trying to get it out there, that people have come up to me and said, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you change that? Why don't you do that? It's not my responsibility, because now I am for your article, right?
Mhm.
Whether I am for your
Yeah.
article or not, I'm not there for that. I'm non-biased,
And it's perception,
right?
Mhm.
unfortunately.
I helped them out, now this thing passed, well, it's gotta be good, right? I don't,
Mhm.
you know?
I-
So again, just trying to get some of those things out there that,
My personal experience, because I've made some motions at town meetings and different things, and I researched how to do it and made sure I came with pre-written stuff, but you can write a motion right there in handwriting, that there's nothing saying you can't. You're very good about telling people, okay, it needs to contain these things, what's your motion, and make sure you sign it. And so you should know how to do that, but you're right, I don't think as a moderator, it's your responsibility to ensure a motion's written correctly or a warrant's written correctly. It is, they can question But if it's a citizen's petition, for whatever reason, if there's legal fees to make sure it's written properly, that's kinda on them.
I don't know what we pay our legal, nor do I wanna discuss it, but we pay them for
Whether we'd like to.
right, a specific, you know,
Yes.
a purpose,
Right.
right? So that's what I'm saying.
So any town articles, they
And
make
so
sure
to have
that
to
they are
ask
legally
them
written.
to open their mouth
and
at a
it's
town
legal.
meeting on a foolish question, shame on the person asking the question. I know they have their right.
Well, unfortunately, I mean.
But
we-
then 2 weeks later, they're gonna say, why did you get such a big bill? And why did they let that happen? And,
But it's their
We live,
right,
sleep,
Julie.
eat and breathe this stuff. The advisory committee gets, you know, they have a couple night meetings each month.
Right.
They're getting documents that they look at, they're getting quarterly reports that they read. We do this, Carol and I, every day from, you know, when we walk in the door till we leave. And the open town meeting is a grand tradition of citizen democracy. You have to remember, it was invented when there was virtually no federal government, very limited state government, and you were maybe passing a budget of a couple $100 for the town
I
clerk.
mean, I
and,
don't wanna speak for Lee, but I know since I've been on an advisory committee, my level of knowledge of how the town, inner workings of the town has gone up exponentially. Just, and that's just, you know, every couple of weeks doing it and just reading some emails and different stuff. It's just, you learn a whole lot more by being involved.
We've talked about trying to do a citizens academy, and it's a lot of work on the staff's part, and I'm reluctant to ask them to do it. No disrespect to the citizenry, which I understand is busy. But without some serious attendance, I think it would be more of a morale buster than booster. Do you think that would help, or no?
I don't think you'd get the attendance.
Okay. Anything else, or should we wrap up?
Yeah, I think, any last, I think we can certainly start to wrap up. Any last questions, thoughts, whatever? I mean, we basically started from the beginning, tried to get, you know, the start, the attendance, somewhat of the, how the meetings are ran, try to make them more efficient. And again, I definitely say before the meeting gets over, that if there's any questions at all, please ask, please email, please whatever, that's fine, we're looking for input. Maybe has somebody got an excellent idea that, you know, nobody thought of, and it makes it more, whatever, efficient, faster, whatever, you know? Not necessarily opposed to
We're gonna recess.
anything, or we may keep the stuff that we have, because it's working, you know? It was basically just kind of a, you know, casual discussion, just to come up with some ideas, you know?
I think your rules up front would be amazing.
And I'll tell you right now that came from a suggestion. I had a citizen come up to me and, you know, this would be a good idea. And I took it, there's nothing that says I have to do that, you know?
Mhm.
So I took it, I wrote down some things, of course, my spelling and my procedural, and I had a couple of changes and help, right?
It's okay.
But I got that from a simple suggestion, you know? And I think it gets out there, and it's better for people to understand that. I have been challenged on a couple of the things that I put in there. Again, but that was, you know, some clarification and some understanding as
Honing
to,
it all the time.
yeah, like why and how.
Mhm.
You can't do this and you can't do that. Well, yes, I can, I am, and I did, or whatever, you know, so. But if I'm wrong, okay, I'm wrong, let's change it.
Right.
You know, I'm not perfect
Right.
either. Let's face it, I'm trying to do the best I can, and, but that came from a suggestion. It definitely did.
Excellent.
Yeah. No names, no nothing like that, but,
Mhm.
that's one of the things how that started. And I think, we go over that every single meeting prior to, hey, do you wanna add to it? Is it the same, rules? Do you wanna change anything? Whatever. And so far for the past, you know, however meetings, it's been working well. Even coming out of this meeting, we might be changing some of that stuff. I think we're gonna put it in the moderator's rules about the the different processes about how the votes go and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Maybe, again, as a suggestion, maybe we'll put that in there, you know? So,
Can I just say, I want to thank both of you for even suggesting doing something like this, and it's unfortunate that not more people in the community are here, because I think this is fantastic. You're brainstorming, you're trying to get people involved in community, and that's exactly what your roles are, as is mine at some level. So, thank you very much for this. I thought it was great, and I think you have a lot of ideas, and I think it's great to be able to sit with advisory and get their thoughts as well, and
Thank you
I
for
think it was
attending.
really,
Thank you.
it
Definitely
was
appreciate
great,
Mhm.
so thank you.
I have one more.
yes, go ahead, absolutely.
You know, like if the meeting started at 6:30, say, if at 6 o'clock, half an hour before the meeting, you run a PowerPoint on your, the how-tos, you know, run a PowerPoint and just keep it rolling the whole half hour before the meeting as people
Oh, I
are
see what you mean.
sitting down and.
It's just,
For the
it's a set of
audience.
slides. It would
Like
just-
at the movies.
It would go
Yeah.
by itself.
Slide
Yes.
show like a-
Yeah.
That's actually-
We'll offer
that's a great
popcorn
idea.
and fried dough.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, feed them popcorn too.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, you gotta be careful of that, cause then someone's gotta clean it up.
Well, that's true. Popcorn can be messy.
It can, yes.
Come on,
Yeah, like,
have a little fun with it.
Yeah.
just keep
You're
it
just missing the
rolling.
broom.
What we try to do, I
Well,
say with the
so am
exception
I.
of the gym that we once had a meeting in, we try to have our articles and as much information up on the screen as we can. So, not to go on any longer than we have to, but one of the issues, and I know we have to discuss it further as well, the actual printouts this year, codification is 300 pages.
Plus or minus, and then there are a number of warrants the town council thought would be best dealt with as standalones, because we have to make sure that we walk out of there without having left everything on the cutting room floor, if you will.
So, to my understanding, they have to be made available, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we print out a copy for each person that attends.
No, we'll have to work on that. In one community, you know, the warrant was, shall the town adopt codification with the following headings, and all that was in the warrant article was heading, you know, with the entirety of the warrant, and a complete printout is available online, it's available in the town clerk's office, it's available in the library.
So that change is more likely than not gonna happen, at least at this meeting, if not for every other meeting in the future, simply because of the stack of paperwork
Yeah.
that we'd
it
have
would
to
be-
print. Right, so expect that. I mean, that's definitely gonna be a change. We're definitely gonna have it available, okay, by maybe several different means. We might, and again, discussion, we might print out one full one and have it here, for example, for people to view if you wanted to print it out. We'll have it online, we'll have it, whatever. Maybe we'll have one copy at the town meeting.
I think that'd
Maybe
be,
we'll, you know,
see it on the table before you go in. This is what we're voting on.
so
No.
that was definitely one of the changes.
For those,
A
for those who
visual.
are watching this, I will tell you that we did get the revisions and the follow-up work from town council within the last couple days,
Yes.
week maybe. That'll go up on the web over the next few days, and we'll probably have at least 2 more meetings, one perhaps just Carol and I, and then one in April with council when we have a meeting on the whole warrant, so.
So I thought that was important, that we just mentioned that, you know, before we end our meeting. The second thing was, obviously, reading the entire thing as well. If we were talking about efficiency, how we're gonna get through the meeting a little bit quicker, so on and so forth.
I nominate Diane Haley Brooks, she'll love me for that.
So, Carter, we've had some discussion on, if you don't read one, then you don't have to read all of them, or vice versa. If you read them, you have to read them all, you can't just not read one, so again.
we can look at town meeting time, but the tradition in many communities, there are some communities, in fact, where the motion is, I move to waive the reading and approve the article as published, and that's it, and that's all they do. This is not a community that's gonna go that far.
Are you
So,
sure about that, though?
What we did at the fall was we waived the reading, of the article for only 3 and approved it as published. Town meeting time does require that if you don't read the whole thing, you have a copy available. So we'll have to look at that.
Definitely. And as I've said in the past, and I'm gonna continue to say it, my only concern is if there were, and when we've had this happen at a meeting, something posted on a PowerPoint, something in those pages that was either incorrect or, you know, a misspell, whatever it may, clerical, I don't care, whatever the error, whether it be on purpose, hopefully not, or, you know, just accident, whatever, okay?
You see it.
That's what I'm in there, again, trying to be fair about. I agree 100% that we're not reading 300 pages, okay?
And I-
However, I'm on the other side of that, if we do post it on the internet, if we do print it somewhere we have to agree that that is 100% correct, okay?
I have to tell you, I'm amazed at how many people can read the document, how many times, and one of us can go back to it 4 months later and inevitably find something.
And that's what my concern is with regards to being fair.
Yeah.
If we're voting on this, and this is what it says, and sometimes, obviously, it's all words, but sometimes a word or a few words can make a humongous difference. I gotta be fair about it to make sure that it's correct,
It can happen.
you know?
And that's why you end up with technical amendments to contracts,
Yeah.
legislation,
Yes.
reports.
So what are the options for reading versus not reading? Can you read the title and then ask the people if you can waive and approve, or
Well, the
waive and vote?
The option is it's gonna be available to you,
Mhm.
okay? Now, availability comes in many different ways, okay?
Yeah,
So again, if you choose to read them prior to the meeting, okay, great, good for you.
right.
But if you get there and you plan on reading it, which again, you can do that, you plan on reading it there, I just think you're gonna have a very hard time absorbing and coming up with a question or a problem, okay? And then trying to ask and figure out, you know, if you had your homework done and you were that strict or that interested, I should say, not strict, that interested about a particular article, then you would come there and you would say, paragraph C, page 27, blah, 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 whatever. Don't question the whole article.
Right.
Right.
Give me something in the article,
Mm.
you know, or whoever, not me, but whoever's presenting it,
Well,
ask him.
Maybe we can do the voter education through the Gardner News or whatever, you know, the school warrants are this, and this is what they mean, this is where you can find them before the town meeting, you know, then we have other warrants. This week, the warrant about whatever, Stonebridge or whatever it is, and this is what we're gonna thing, and again, you can see this information in clarity on the town website.
Well, I think that would be part of, hopefully, every time, if we were gonna do that mass mailing, we could put our town website, you know what I mean? The voter guide, again, it would have information in it, it would also give other references. Our website to mailing to all that, hopefully, not only does it have a date, but it also has where you can go to view it, how you can obtain a copy, how you can do, you know, so on and so forth. It wasn't just one thing, it's multiple reasons why we, code red, if we use code red or whatever we use, always can go to the town website, blah, 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 you can go to here for, you know, and I mean,
Again, I
there's
think
no
we should
perfect way.
publicize the pre-town meeting.
Absolutely.
I think it's very important that people realize that there's a forum that has a committee
review of everything,
available
right.
that is reviewing every
Alright.
single
I
article.
think it would be safe to say that we're probably not gonna
Pre-town
read the entire
meeting.
codification at the pre-town meeting.
But again, pre-town meeting
that is for
is more
citizens to come.
important than town meeting, almost.
Mhm.
So go, I encourage anyone to go to pre-town meeting. And I think that we should advertise pre-town meeting strongly. You know what I mean?
And I think the
Because-
citizens need to understand that pre-town meeting is for them without the
It's for
select board.
them,
And that's for them to ask questions
right?
and maybe have the advisory committee consider things that we hadn't thought of, or, but.
I just think that's a big
You
deal.
get- you
People
get the
should
word
go to
out, but
pre-town meeting before
can't
they
make
go to
people
town
show.
meeting. But you
Right.
can get it out there and you can try to think positive that people are gonna go to pre-town meeting. They're gonna know what they're doing when they walk into town meeting and they leave their kids at a small carnival
Yep.
that the school is gonna support.
Okay.
Just a thought.
All right,
Final questions, thoughts, anything, comments, nothing? Well, we appreciate,
Thank you again.
everybody that's come, we appreciate everybody that's watching, whether it be on TV, maybe, it's also on YouTube.
It does.
It goes on YouTube,
Yep.
wherever else it might be. Give us a call, an email, any kind of suggestion, support, whatever. Any other, nope, nothing. And then, actually, did you put on there the date? Because I know we always go over dates. We do dates and dates and
Town
dates.
meeting is Wednesday, May 15th.
There you go. I know it's on somewhere. We got it written down on this one.
And so the next step is, for the board of selectmen to discuss some
We'll,
of the
we'll,
stuff.
we'll put this together, Julie will present on the select board.
I will,
Well, we'll,
or I'll assign Carter to
Yeah.
present.
and then, she'll have had a chance to meet with the schools and we'll bring the ideas up at the school.
okay, good.
Thank you,
Great,
folks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
Good job, Carol.